So this course is labeled FinTech, Financial Technology. And I thought it's probably a good idea for me to explain to you why we actually are interested in the combination of technology and finance. Now, I'm going to do this with a concrete example, and I will look at the world of trading. This is also something close to my heart because it's very close to my research area. I've done a lot of work on the Canadian market. And one of the things that I've studied specifically is how technological innovation has transformed the world of trading. One famous example are carrier pigeons. So, famously, the Rothschild family apparently made a fortune on the London Stock Exchange because they had the ability to receive information about the outcome of the Battle of Waterloo, where Wellington won against Napoleon, by using carrier pigeons. But then, even over time, the importance and the speed of technology and of information transmission was critical. So one very famous and early example of technology in the late 1800s is the ticker tape, or the ticker machine, which was, as an automated machine, in fact, invented by Thomas Edison at the age of, I believe, 23. So if you are, 21, 22 years old, you have a few more years to develop something which is as path-breaking as the ticker tape. Now, if you think of the world, technology is one thing, but what we have seen over the last 20 years in trading technology is that also the way how trades are being arranged has changed dramatically. So in the old days, people put out the phone and had conversations about a trade. So they looked at a computer screen, at the ticker tape, looked at what the current price was, and then made a deal. Now that has changed, of course, with the introduction of computer screens. So people looked at quotes on a computer screen. But that's not where the story ends. Nowadays, the world of trading is fundamentally different. Almost no trading is done, or real trading is done by humans, notwithstanding the current craziness that we see with Robinhood and in the US of retail traders trading like crazy because they got nothing else to do, sitting at home, in the COVID crisis. But in reality, most trades involve a computer algorithm. So what you see there on the screen here is essentially a trading center, right? It's a computer as a service center. The trading floors that you see on TV, they actually serve almost no role whatsoever. They're nothing else than a TV prop. And then if you look at the stock exchange, where you think of this glamorous place on Wall Street, like the New York Stock Exchange, well, that's nothing actually. Nowadays, a stock exchange is in a data center. And in this case, for instance, the New York Stock Exchange is in a data center somewhere in Mabwa in New Jersey, right next to a highway. On the other side of the highway is a Home Depot. So gone is the glamour of trading for sure. Now, why does this actually happen? And why is this important from an economic perspective, and actually also for you in terms of job prospects? Well, first of all, if you have trades arranged, there's a few things that happen. Number one, trades are much faster, right? They're cheaper, and they're much more reliable, right? Because what happens with human traders, and you will hear this, for instance, in behavioral finance, is that traders in particular are subject to all kinds of behavioral biases. They tend to hurt, they tend to follow what other people are doing. They're influenced by many things outside of what should be the core decisions that they take. And computer algorithms are not susceptible to any of this, right? Number one. So then also a computer algorithm has the ability to align trades across a large variety of different securities. So if you look at, for instance, Virtu Financial, which is one of the biggest financial trading companies, is they have tens of thousands of securities and they can do hundreds of thousands of orders per second. So this is clearly a big disruption for the world of trading, and it also has an impact on you and your job prospects if you want to work in trading. Now, the old skill set used to be that you had to be good with numbers, you had to be a bit brash, you had to be strong-willed, and you have to. Nowadays, if you want to succeed in trading, you have to be extremely analytical. You have to have a very broad perspective. In particular, you need to have programming skills, data and statistics analysis, econometrics, time series analysis. You have to have a lot of analytical skills. Just being bold in terms of taking a trade is not going to cut it anymore. If you look at, for instance, Goldman Sachs, a major investment bank, they had a trading floor in New York, and at its height, they still had about 600 traders on a single floor, working only in equity trades. Nowadays, there's just 2 left. And however, there's still people working there, so it's not all computers, but they have been replaced with about 200 computer engineers and computer scientists. So this is, as you can see, this is a massive change which also affects you and your prospects. Now, I don't want to scare you. Obviously, the whole point about this course is actually give you a positive outlook about what role you can play in the financial industry in the future. But I just want you to be aware of how technology will change even in an area where you think this is a safe place to be employed, safe, so to speak. Now, one other question we have is, how does this actually affect markets as a whole? So it affects your employment prospects. Okay, that's fine, right? So we can understand that. But is there actually something transformational, or is it just that everything is happening faster? Well, yes and no. Here's a transformational impact. And this is from a paper from a colleague from UTSC, Charles Martineau. Now, in the accounting literature, or actually in the finance literature too, but mostly in accounting, one of the great puzzles of our times was the so-called post-earnings announcement drift. So what that meant is that a firm publishes its earnings, and then if the earnings are positive, prices in the stock would trend upwards for a few weeks, often, or days or weeks, following that announcement. And if the news were bad, prices trended down for a while. Now, why is that a problem? Well, if there is a trend, then that becomes predictable. And so if you expect that after positive announcements, the price will be trending up, well, you should be buying early so that you can benefit of this trend later on. But then if everybody would be doing that, of course, the prices would immediately jump, right? So, so the question is, why is there the trend? Well, here's a paper by Charles Martineau, who looked at this whole phenomenon at a very short time horizon. And what he finds is, and you can see this in these pictures quite clearly, is that the trend is essentially gone. So announcements are being made in the after hours, and the prices immediately jump to the next level. And why is that? Well, because computer algorithms effectively align prices quite quickly. So in other words, the transformational impact of technology is not reduced to the way people do things, but also what comes out of what people are doing.